smoking faces like an arrow. Aye, 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 Sister Gwen, Sister Gwen. Indaba, indaba zabantu, indaba zabantu, tani indaba zabantu. Indaba, indaba zabantu, indaba zabantu, tani indaba zabantu. I'll beg impilo yakho, yeka impilo yami. 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 The man comes back.
Hello everyone and welcome to another great and exciting one with myself, Gogo Moyo. Today I'm not riding solo. I am with my good friend Mike. So brownie lovers, today we're going to be talking about gratitude on this spiritual Thursday. So stay tuned.
Yeah, boy, yes. And on the Spiritual Thursday, we're going to be speaking about gratitude. A deep and sometimes not so deep subject, but one that we neglect nevertheless.
True that. And about gratitude today, I'd like to touch on a number of mindsets around it. Just to touch off, what's your understanding of the word gratitude, Mike?
I said earlier on, you give gratitude when you eat.
I had to ask again because I couldn't believe. You see, so we end up having, being grateful when it comes to us receiving, but not also what we can give, because if you come from a place of being able to give, then that's something to be grateful for. Anytime you're able to share something, be able to hand it to the next person or help in any way, that's something to be grateful for. You're in a different step to the person that you're able to help, and that's important. Look back, be mindful that gratitude is not always being on the receiving end.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
You see, on all seriousness, gratitude, it has many layers. We summarize it to just say, we're grateful. There's gratefulness and gratitude in different layers. Whether it's something that you received, whether it's a state of being, and you're grateful and you have gratitude towards different situations. In order to have the gratitude in the first place, you need to be aware.
Yes.
I mean, there's the obvious, you give me something, thank you, I'm grateful, this has helped me, this has so on and so forth. But you need to be, sometimes we need to be a lot more conscious about what we have, whether it's our health, our family members, our the well-being of our children, or just being able to make it throughout the day and come back to your home still intact. There are many things that layer what we could be grateful for and have gratitude towards.
True.
And I think gratitude is something that opens up doors. If you are really grateful and you have gratitude towards your situation, it opens up doors. It frees your spirit to really be able to access the next level that comes after what you've been grateful for.
Yeah, agreed. Shared sentiment.
So that's my sentiment of what gratitude is.
So I think to make it a little bit easier, because it's such a big topic all in itself, and depending on which mindset you have, you'll receive the word in a certain way, So some synonyms that go with the word gratitude are as follows: thanks, appreciation, recognition, credit, acknowledgement, regard, and respect. So that's already touching on so many other areas where we should be mindful of being thankful in such spaces, and how we go along acting. And one thing I found interesting when I was coming up with this topic is gratitude is a celebration of the present. It magnifies positive emotions. And the cool thing about the word gratitude is that it rhymes with the word attitude.
Yes, indeed.
So in itself, it's already telling you where this conversation is coming from. If you're going to wear a hat of being a unkind person, perhaps a negative person, a pessimist, and you're not a person who likes to celebrate others, then you're going to miss the opportunity to give a high five, a kudos, a well done.
Yes.
You're doing really well. You're making me check myself, because I also want to reach the level of greatness that you are attaining. In just being self. So attitude I found was like amazing to have joined those dots even for myself.
Yes.
That we draw so much from a lot of things. Even the whole world, the word itself. You can find it in the word gratitude.
Absolutely. It's amazing. Yesterday, when speaking to someone, I was speaking to Lebo Moloto, and we discussed how people are just not in tune, and how some people's reality exists. It's not a true reality, in the sense that they are aware of what's happening around them. It's reality in the context of it being a reality in their minds. So I'm reminded of that when you speak about having that gratitude. Okay, gratitude in the sense that you cannot have gratitude if your view of things is limited to self. And you cannot have gratitude, true gratitude, if your way of your modus operandi altogether is self-centered. You won't be able to, like you say, give that high five, because your reality is formed around you. And I figure that, I've seen this, that a lot of us, or a lot of people rather, have this limitation where we cannot express gratitude, or even if we say we're expressing gratitude, it's not with any sense and intention and feeling behind it as such. It's like I hand you something, you just say thank you, because saying thank you is just, it's automatic. You've practiced it enough that when I hand you something, you just say thank you without even meaning it.
Yeah.
But in this case, it's even worse, because when someone says, I'm grateful, thank you, and you for either for life or for lessons learned or for meaningful things that are happening in their life, but without feeling, then they quickly forget.
That's true.
That they even said thank you. So they squander that whole gratitude and moment in itself. They squander it, because I believe that if I'm gonna say thank you for what you did for me, right? I'm saying thank you because by saying thank you, and in that moment I'm capturing it, and I'm somewhat storing it away as a valuable something that has transformed or changed my life, and going forward it has a part to play in everything I do going forward.
This is true. So
others cannot say have gratitude, true gratitude, because they don't mean it. It's not a reality. It's just a reaction.
This is true. Also, on the topic of being gratuitous. It comes in so many other ways as well.
Yes.
What you're mindful of, it will show in your actions.
Yes.
Yes. If you're mindful that you're walking with a lady, you will open a door for her. If you are mindful that life breathes in everything, you'll water a plant. You know, just for as long as you're mindful, you'll act and do better.
Yes.
With that word comes 3 other words that inspire change, and that's the word itself in inspire. The other one is create and to transform. Those are the simple words that come with the word gratitude. Because you get to inspire someone else to be mindful of their behavior, and you being mindful of your own behavior. You get to create a moment of being thankful, of bringing it to attention for someone else that you're doing a great job. You create a moment. And to transform is watching that person be able to receive that compliment or that act of service from you, and you see how it actually impacts their lives. You know, so there's so much into gratitude that we take for granted. With a person that, no matter how bad of a day you have, you get to a restaurant and you just want to grab a bite to eat, and here you are, you're met by this lovely person who's only there to serve you, but because you've had a bad day, you even miss the smile that you met by. You know, you're already ready to demand whatever it is that you want and, you know, get out of there. But you're hopeful that you'll get amazing service, but you are not meeting the moment to make sure and ensure and inspire and create for that to happen. So what you ultimately get will not transform anything, but it'll add to your discomfort.
To your discomfort, yes.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's in anything. So even how you'll leave that table, will you tip her because you're thankful of the smile she met you with?
Yes.
Or are you going to be still caught up in yourself that you're going to miss the moment and, you know, take her even away from her because she's on the job. She's here to serve you. So you're taking away from her livelihood. You're taking away from the experience she's having with engaging with you.
Yes.
It's all a takeaway because you're so caught up in the downer parts of your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yesterday we spoke with Levo about being aware of yourself. Being aware of yourself and being able to break away from one state into another or a required state for that moment. If I'm upset, as much as I'm upset, but when turning away from that situation, turning to you, I should not, even though perhaps I might still be upset and whatever, and you might see that I'm upset, but my attitude towards you in dealing with you and what we are speaking about need not be charged with the aggression of what I'm upset about.
True.
Now, there are many people that I feel fail to disconnect. I fail to disconnect from the fact that I am this high person.
Yes.
I'm wherever working for some big corporation, big cheese in that corporation. When I go to restaurants, I forget that these people don't know me, right? Even if they do know you, they just know you as Gogo Moyo.
Togozan.
There you go, you're coming in there, they don't know, they know the name, they don't know what you do. Right? They know you because you come to the restaurant. For argument's sake, I'm a new guy, I'm just told, this is Gogo Moyo, this is a good customer of ours. Here I come, greeting you, all that. Failing to break away from your big corporate job and your status, your title, causes a lot of us then to treat people inappropriately.
Truth.
And that goes all walks of life. The status and the pride of this is who I am. People must treat me this way in accord to my title, in accord to my achievements, my this, my that, my that. There are a lot of my's in all of that.
Mm.
And then you go in there and they know what I like. They don't know what I like. Da, 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 da. I've come across that a lot of times. A lot of people doing that. And like you're saying, now we need to realize something. You're dealing with another human being. You're taking out of them an energy that was intended to be good when they met you and greeted you. And I think the service industry is a good example that you used. When someone goes into a restaurant and they you are served, they try their best to be at their best behavior.
Truth.
Now that person's effort is going to waste because you rubbished it. Now, what more than when we do that even in our homes and to our family members and children and whoever and so on.
And continuously so.
Continuously.
Yeah, because not a lot of us are going to be told that, hey, I don't appreciate,
yes,
you know, the way you're behaving or treating the situation.
Yes.
You know, and with what we're talking about also speaks to how you perceive yourself. Because how you perceive yourself is how you're going to walk around all over the place. You know, so then you're going to walk around as if,
yes,
as well as if you walk very timidly, then everyone will also walk all over you as well. So how you perceive yourself is ultimately who you're going to portray. You know, and I just say it should never be at the cost of someone else, whatever it is that you do. You know, you can be as cool as you want to be, or, you know, believe in yourself, you know, have the confidence. Let's not take down or cut down from your tree. But wherever you're going to go, remember that you're sharing spaces with other people. And that's why there's phrases like, spare a kind thought. You don't know what someone else is going through. That's where such things come from, because you humble yourself to know that, you know, I also have really crappy days. Let me calm myself down. Let me be part of the conversation and not throw my weight around, because then
yes,
you know, then there becomes a difference.
Major difference.
There becomes a difference. You know, you won't even dare approach. You'll avoid. You'll send everyone else but yourself.
Yes.
Respect.
Yes.
If anything, I'm gonna, you know, it's different. I want to be a part of this engagement versus one where I would have to feel very timid and scared of how I'm going to be treated.
Yes.
We could go on with this topic the whole day, because there's many areas where it's not being exercised, or us being mindful of it.
It's very, but it's like so many topics. These are the subject matters that deal with our fiber as humans, and the fact that we seem to be running more and more away from these conversations proves how much we are becoming less human.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a human being is a meeting of spirit,
connect,
spirit, soul, body connection. You know, if your spirit is being diluted, then you're no longer human. Hence, someone who disconnects from themselves to an extent where they can not only murder someone, but brutally so.
Yes.
They are referred to as being inhuman. And now the reality is that we are murdering each other on a daily basis. You know, you don't have to kill someone physically. You can kill someone's spirit.
Truth.
That's a term that we use on a daily basis. That, you know, this whole thing killed my spirit. You know, some say it turned me off. But then when it's really bad, someone would say to you, this thing has killed my spirit.
Yeah, I can't come back from it.
I can't.
Yeah.
And this is what we're doing to each other in general relations, where we meet people, where we interact with people. We literally destroying each other's spirits.
And we're very quick to tear down than to build.
Yes.
I will rather try find something to say that's negative to you, Mike, than say 5 things that are positive.
Yeah.
It's almost like it takes away from me.
Yes.
And how can you giving a compliment to someone take away from self? If anything, it reflects self, that you are such an illuminating light to the world that you can see it
Yes.
in other people, to even word it and make mention.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, it's so amazing that how we also are quick to forget in terms of gratitude what others do for us.
Yes.
And I think it connects to that point that I made about not being genuinely appreciative. When you are so self-centered that it's just a reaction, right? Then you will not fathom anything past
You.
And when you say I'm grateful or thank you, but then you are quick to forget what a person or people do for you, or how you've overcome a situation, and you go back to being whatever and whoever you are, and whatever also becomes a question, because sometimes a person behaving in a certain way, you reduce yourself to being questioned as a non-human, non-entity who will say whatever you are, right? Because the spirit in which you're operating in no longer becomes the human spirit, because the human spirit is grateful.
Always.
Right? It's consistent, it's grateful. At minimum, it will remain grateful for a particular thing.
Actually.
But when you go back and forth, then you begin to operate as something else. So we're like, what are you really? You know? So you've reduced yourself to, we begin to reduce ourselves to being non-humans by just allowing ourselves or practicing sometimes
you
to
know
be other.
When you talk about that, Mike, the word entitlement just keeps flicking in my head like it's a problem.
Yeah.
Because from entitlement doesn't show any part where you contribute. It's always this is expected, this is what I want, this is again talking about self, but to also give a different idea of the word gratitude via each letter of the word.
Yes.
To start off, give it, reciprocate it, acknowledge it, treasure it, inspire it, think it, understand it, do it, experience it. How many of those do you feel you connect with on a day-to-day basis in how you live your life? How many things can you write down right now, like 5 things that you're grateful of? You know, like how acknowledgeable are you of the things that are going on around you?
Yeah.
All the way to a level of you being connected. You know, some people struggle with spiritual connection. They struggle with finding an outer entity to self.
Yes.
That they can connect with and can be grounded by and inspired by and felt safe by. You know, in itself, the fact that you can connect with that is something to be grateful for, because you're not going to be a wishy-washy person. You won't be all over the place, because there's something that actually grounds you.
Yes.
Hence, you know, you live for something or you die for everything type of thing. And being spiritually connected, that entity in itself, you're grateful of it. Hence you pray, you patla, you meditate, you spend time, you know, thanking a lot more than you actually ask, because you're seeing that even with the noise that's going on around you, the most basic of basic in terms of things you need and the way you live and the fact that your breath in your, you know, in your body, that's all the things that you can be grateful of. And that's going back to the connectedness of, you know, of spirituality, is being able to pay it forward. You know, those are now parts where you are actioning your thanks. You know, it's no longer just saying that you're thankful. You're now actioning your thanks because you're doing things further than self. You're like, it's intentional, and anything that's intentional, you know, has a very big success rate because you put your back into it.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
So it reminds me a lot of the spiritual connectedness when I think of gratitude. Actually,
I would ask the question from yourself as a traditional healer.
Yes.
Now what how important and how frequent would one need to express their gratitude to their ancestors, their God? Minding that most people say ancestors think that you're replacing God.
No such.
Which is not the case. But how, hence I'm saying that to your ancestors and to your God. How often would one need to express that, and what should they look to gain, if anything at all, by doing so?
Okay, great question. And it also speaks and touches on a number of topics, because from that I gather mmereko ya badimo and basic mepaso / prayer. Depending on what you're trying to achieve will explain the effort you put into it. So how often? As often as every day, because you have everything to be thankful for every day. Even the lack of change is good. Even change occurring is good. You know, it just depends again on attitude. So khopahla and to pray would be something I'd recommend someone does as often as possible, as often as every day. Because I like to put the fact out there to my clients, actually, is that your phone is as equivalent to a type of snuff.
Okay.
As much as your phone has got your important information, it connects you, you know, it's your life. Okay. That's why when you forget your phone, you turn around and you go collect it, because throughout your day, you're going to consult it for a number of reasons.
Yes. Yes.
And for different reasons, to solve for different things.
Yes.
Impepo also, or snuff, when you pour it on the ground, it solves for many things. It connects you with your ancestors. It gets you on that connection line, on that channel that no one else can intercept. So that's that conversation you want to jump on. Because you connect to it for different reasons. You wake up in the morning from a dream. To ask, to be thankful for different things, you know, to introduce a different topic to Badimba, how, you know, under Gopaling Khansa saying, guide me on this thing that I want to journey on.
Yes.
To also, so facilitating and introducing mereko eating that you're trying to perform. So again, you're going to consult it for different things, but again, it's going to add up to the fact that you're connecting. And there is no loss outside of that. If anything, it's 100% gain, because as often as you do it, the more intimate and private your conversation will become. Because it will only ever have to speak to self. You know, lots of Badim don't necessarily need or want a crowd. That's why they come to you, and you're the only person who can hear them and see them and engage with them. Because otherwise they'd have a mass meeting with your family members because they want to engage all.
Yes.
And the general.
Yes.
So by the time they engage you, you already know that there's a certain conversation that's going on here.
Yes.
How clued up are you on that?
Yes. And like you say, there's only gain in conversating and expressing your gratitude towards your ancestors, towards God. And I would I be correct in saying, even if you at this stage or at all do not believe in ancestral the ancestral approach, but it's important still to express your gratitude to the Creator,
of course,
for what you have, for what you have, for what you've gone through, for your existence and survival and overall well-being.
Exactly.
I mean, we find that most of us, when we do that, when we go to sources of power, God, if for you it's God, if it for you is the Trinity approach, if for you it's the your ancestral approach, we mostly go for what we want.
Certainly.
We go to say, I want. What are the risks, or in linear terms, over a period of time, from a healing point of view, what risks do we run in our lives if all we are going for is to take from our sources of power?
That's a very deep question, and it's so, even to me when I receive it, it's so broad, because it also speaks to, there's a difference between a want and a need. So in what you want doesn't necessarily mean it's going to serve for any comfort, for anything in your life.
Yes.
You have it, you attain it, and then what? You know, you haven't even been taught how to use it or how you can benefit from it. You know, you want it, and then what? It doesn't help to want. Because anything that we want should serve for something. It should calm us down, make us more happy. There should be a change that happens and comes from it. So, in the question that you're asking me, can I also ask you to rephrase it in a way that perhaps will provide like a example of sort?
If I go to my partner, my mother, any relative, and I'm always the person who goes and wants. In human terms, they're gonna get tired of me.
Truth.
They're going to get tired of me, and that's in over a period of time. So if they're gonna get tired of me, I wonder then, in spiritual terms, how would God respond with all understanding and fairness given to him as God, that he is all loving, he is all caring, he is all wanting of the best, but in the broader and at a larger scale, he's a parent. I would imagine the same for the ancestral approach. They are parents as much as they're they're spirit guides, but they are parents. In African tradition, I believe our people do not die; they transcend. The body passes away, right? But they move to a different space of existence. But they are. They are not past tense. They are present. So how? And mind you, they're not going to punish you in the physical sense. As human beings, we punish each other physically. We get tired of each other. We move away from each other. We walk away. We don't speak to each other. We tell each other, "No, I won't give this to you." But then, what risk do we stand spiritually as individuals if all we do is just want, and we don't open our spirits up to express gratitude, to be vulnerable, and say thank you?
We suffer a great deal of loss because once it's gone, it's gone.
Yes.
And sometimes once it's gone, or even before then, when you had it, it came very naturally because by virtue of you are our child. I get it. There was no effort that you had to put into it for you to even be in the starting point that you're in.
Yes.
Yes, you were favored, so here we are.
Yes.
So now if you're going to keep on taking and you don't remember to pay homage, as much as in the physical relationship, eventually we go mute, we keep quiet. Because you know, to communicate that this is not something that we're happy with.
Yes.
But the behavior remains.
Yes.
So we keep quiet. And that's the disappearance of dreams, the lack then of luck that you used to have. Because you'd always believe you're a fortunate person, you're so lucky. But I don't think the word of luck exists. It's the relationship. It's a great mirror image of the relationship you keep libating bahao. Because your luck should never run out for as long as you pay homage.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? You're always plowing back into that relationship.
Yes.
And that's khopasa, khorapela, to do rituals, to perform rituals, whether it's praying rituals, it's whether it's yoga and it's meditative and it says, I am quietening my mind to allow you to teach me. I'm affording you the platform where I am quiet and I'm of a receiving end to your lessons, to your energies, to anything. Enlighten me. You know, it's a conscious I am keeping quiet to achieve this.
Yes.
Even in the rituals we perform, they're conscious, they're intentional. That we want to appease, we want to thank, we want to fix, you know, but there's always something that we're doing. So if we don't do that, then the work you have to do is unsurmountable because you want to go back there. And how many times have something broken and hasn't gone back to its original form?
Yeah.
You know, so the loss is too much. Yes, I can try mend.
Yes.
But mending does not mean a total repair.
Yes.
You know, unless if you replace it. And I don't know how many of those ancestors you got to replace this one that you messed up with, who could be your namesake. So how many other namesakes do you have? Just, you know.
Yes.
So you're cutting your nose to spite your face.
Is the apology in the spirit realm far costlier or at a higher cost than that which we experience human to human?
I would say yes. I would say yes because that loss, man, you know, in a relationship you can keep coming back. You can keep coming back and, you know, showing with the actions that I'm getting better, you know, I'm learning, you know, I'm taking in the lessons.
Yes.
But Kabadimo, to a certain degree, guys, what do you possibly think that you can do after you've had so many warning signs? It's like the one thing that's so common with people that don't particularly take care of the relationship, Kabadimo, is the constant loss to physical property. And sometimes it also comes in the form of risking one's life. Like the endless car accidents.
Yes.
You like, you buy a car now and like a week it's totaled and you're like, what the hell? You're like to salvage this, but you don't necessarily see what you are contributing to the situation being as it is. You are a fixer, you want to fix it. How do I appease? But you don't necessarily realize how you fell off to begin with. What didn't you do to maintain this relationship? Because they will show you that we keep giving, hence you're able to keep replacing these cars. You know, you keep replacing. They're showing that they're giving, but we're not on your side.
The provisions are there for you.
Exactly.
But you are not aligning yourself to your blessings.
You're harder taking the lesson. Hence it's repetitive. Now they have to create a trend for you to see that this is the ultimate path you're going down. And eventually the car accident you won't survive anymore.
And there are so many of us, I guess, or not I guess, I know there are so many of us where certain things keep happening.
Yeah.
And we want to blame it on others. Yet there's a reason behind it.
Correct.
Right? I know with myself that has been the case. Like certain things, they keep happening, but you don't know the reasons behind it until you pay attention.
But by the time you pay attention, what's going on?
You've lost so much.
Yeah, there's like lots of work to do for you.
You've lost so much.
Yeah.
Now you and now you have to accept that you need to sit down and start in fact, not start over again, because you have to leave that
Yes.
whatever that
Start
thing
anew.
is,
Yeah.
and just start anew.
Yeah.
And this time, try to walk in the steps that you are.
Yeah. What's needed?
You know,
Yeah.
you follow those steps that you need to follow. You know, because realistically speaking, is if you are required to follow ingredients in order to cook something, the same is a reality in other walks of life.
Correct.
So it's reasonable to say that there's no way that it would not be the case in our reality as humans in constructing our lives. There are ingredients in which we have to acknowledge and follow.
Yes.
And you have to pay attention, unfortunately, for your specific
Correct.
ingredients. What's required of you, what you need to put in, what you need to take out, and what steps you need to follow.
Hence, if we don't know, because they walked. So it doesn't mean that, we have to walk those bad spaces that they've walked.
Yes.
Because we want to gain our own experience.
Yes.
Sometimes it's okay not to have experience. Honestly, like sometimes it's okay to not know and have your own version of the tale. And I find that's a very good question we can ask the listeners today, Mike, is what have you seen in your life as these repetitive and trendy actions or activities that happen in your life that speak to how or the lack of your engagement with your spiritual connection? What is the trend in your life that you're seeing that every year at this particular time of the year, this happens? What is it for you, and how have you come to identify it? And if so, is there anything you're doing about it? Where is your influence to this?
Yes. That is a very important question, and I think it's one that we often want to run away from.
Yeah.
One of those that we often want to run away from, because we run away from a lot of questions, especially questions that point or turn everything towards you.
Reflective.
Anything that says I need to take responsibility and acknowledge that perhaps I'm doing something wrong.
Yeah.
It's a problem for us.
We all contribute. Yeah.
And I guess we also do not. It's a human thing to not want to take the blame.
If you don't take the blame, you also will miss the lesson, Mike.
Yeah.
Sadly enough.
Yeah.
It's easier not to take the blame and put someone else there. But the lesson is sure going to miss you as well. And guess what? You're going to find yourself there because hence the repetitive patterns in your life.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Spiritual wellness, I guess it is.
Truth.
We have a long way to go. What can one do if they feel they need help with one cleansing themselves of, shall I say, the dark energy or the cloud that or weight that they feel on their shoulders that contributes to somehow causing a spirit of or a spirit that lacks gratitude, a spirit that lacks appreciation for people, moments, or even the good that happens in their lives, or they are unable to even appreciate the mere fact that they wake up and are able to do things. Like, they don't see that. You can walk. Sometimes you walk and you ask yourself, how did I get here?
You missed all of it.
You missed all of it.
Yeah.
What can a person do?
Sure.
From a
spiritual perspective.
Yes.
The A, acknowledge it. Firstly, I think one of the things that we need to be mindful of, Mike, is the relationships we keep with those around us.
Yes.
I won't know of myself until I get feedback or ask for feedback. So while I keep the relationships I keep with the people around me, I should stop for a moment, assess the relationships I have. Are they generally good? How many people can I really count on? You know, how many people can count on me? And then go back and ask those people, you know, how do I make you feel sometimes? Do you feel supported by me? How do I come across? How are you receiving me? You know, what energy am I landing with you? Whether it's intentional or not. And it won't always be the best news you'll hear, because it's also unintentional or unbeknownst to you, hence the question.
Yes.
But once you find out, you'll start picking up on the general feel of who you are versus who you perceive yourself to be.
Yes.
And then you get to join these dots. And once you join them, you'll see which area of you needs the work. And that's where you start to learn to understand it, the you. And when you understand it, there's something that you can actually, you know, do and, you know, think about and put an actual effort into it.
Yes.
And once you get to identify that, then the how on a spiritual level becomes easier. Otherwise, we'll administer so many wrong and ineffective solutions for you because we haven't dealt with what's the situation actually? What are we solving for?
Yes.
So there's so many different mediums. You know, whether you stop to pray, you sit down in your silence, meditate, you do yoga, you go do a random act of kindness for someone else. You know, those solutions are so broad. They won't specifically help you until you identify.
Gogo, I want to go back to something. I think, piggybacking on what you just said, those solutions are broad. They can help you. They can definitely send you in the right direction, especially after you've tried to listen to yourself.
Truth.
Here's something that worked for me, and it's in a word: intention. Intention. The word intention.
Why?
What is your intention? Right? You need to question your intention.
Of course.
We're very good at questioning other people's intentions. You need to question your own intention. Sometime back when I questioned my intention and I realized what the word intention meant or means, I had to ask myself, what is my intention with regards to X, Y, and Z? I also had to realize that intention does not mean a desire to do something outwardly or reactively or whatever. It's internal in the sense that I have to have intent to do X, Y, Z. So before I embark on trying to find or going to Gogo Moyo, saying I would like help, before I say I'm going to change, I'm going to go and open a gym membership, before I go yoga or anywhere, I have to have the intention in my heart, in my being, to change. Because people want change without the intention and making the intent to change. So you are going all over the show, being dramatic.
Quite fine.
You know, you're just being a big show wherever you're going, right? And you're throwing money at the situation and you're doing whatever. But you personally have not put it in your heart, in your mind, in your spirit that, you know what, I am tired of X, Y, Z. I am going to make the choice to change, and I am going to change. And part of me changing, I have to go yoga.
Yes.
I have to go to the gym. I have to now start speaking to my mother. And I have to start respecting my parents. I have to respect my sisters, my brothers, whatever the case might be. And some of the many things that we do are as a result of us doing them because we want to do them. We've made the intention to do them. But we don't want to reverse it with a counter intention to do the opposite.
Yes.
And then we say, I'm sick. Things are not going well for me. Things are not doing this. Because you might show up at Gogo Moyo's place asking for help. And she might look into your matter and she said, no, you don't have a problem. No one is doing anything to you. You are the problem. You know, you and some of us know that we are the problem.
Yeah.
We just don't want to make that intention. It's too scary for me, perhaps. I don't know.
I think it also, I find that there's always a circulating effect to the relationships we keep with ourselves. I can understand I can be friends with Mike, but what relationship do I keep with myself?
Yes.
Am I a kind person to myself? Do I feel like I am worthy, I'm deserving, I am, do I feel that I am deserving of this?
Yes.
And if you feel that you are, what you do about it will speak to that. And it'll go back to intention. All those things circulate around the relationship you keep with yourself.
Yes.
Hence, you'll allow yourself to be in abusive relationships because of the relationship you keep with yourself. Whereas you can see, I'm a nobody in this relationship. Like, I'm not valued. There's absolutely nothing that is of gain to me being in this relationship, but because of the relationship you keep with self, you will remain
in
that relationship. So even with you coming to see someone for help, the relationship you keep with yourself is why you will end up being there. And that's why, as much as we know what we know, that let's do this, let me change this, let me implement this.
Yes.
We're not going to be committed to ourselves because we don't value ourselves. We want someone else to tell us the same thing we know.
Yes.
Because we want rather to be validated by them than to remain validated by ourselves.
Yes.
And we lose that. We lose our power. We give it away. And we wonder why we are in toxic and abusive relationships. Because when it happened the first time, we're like, no, it's okay. I think maybe I had an influence, or maybe he was having a bad day, or there was this, there was that.
Yes.
And then what happens the third, fourth, fifth time? And then now you've now disappeared from the relationship. Even when you say something, there's no value to it because of the relationship you keep with yourself.
Yes. And sometimes thinking, I want to put a gray line somewhere in between all of that. There are people who love themselves, who care about themselves and their growth and all these things, who out of the goodness of their hearts think that they can do good towards someone who is not loving of themselves.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Who then is toxic. And trying to do well, you stay and you end up being caught in this cycle and becoming the abused party, because there's no gratitude for having you in the first place. And this is romantic wise, this is family, this is otherwise, because the reality is not all our family members have found themselves.
Truth.
Because they're also human.
Yeah.
Right? So just because they're family doesn't mean that they're not going to be toxic.
Yeah.
So you maintain these relationships and someone is toxic towards you, and you end up having an infection from the toxicity that they have, and you end up being in the cycle that you just described.
Yeah.
And you need to realize that you need to break away from those types of things and those types of people before they turn you into some other depressed,
unrecognizable person. Even to self, yeah.
You know, because they can turn you into those
easily.
With all this toxic energy, instead of, like you say, ask yourself the question, what do you bring to the table when you walk into a life that is trying to be productive and so on and so forth. When you meet someone who's energetic or has the energy or good energy, and you respond to it with negativity, such as in the case of the restaurant.
Yes.
Interesting. So should those who feel that they need a cleansing come through to the spiritual for some spiritual cleansing? And mind you, maybe let's make a distinction on that.
Okay.
There's a feeling of, ish, I just need, for whatever reason, I just need a cleansing.
Okay.
Right? Some will go to church, whether it works or not for them. 2 weeks down the line, they still feel the same. And then they come to Gogo Moyo. Let's make a distinction. There's that feeling of needing a cleansing, and there's just a general, shall we say, confusion that people have within themselves, perhaps as a lack of confidence, perhaps as a out of experiences of trauma, right? A lack of self-worth. How do you help them as a spiritual healer? Both parties.
Okay.
Right? Because the first one, it might be that there's something there. They just feel they're down all the time. But then there's the other one who feels down at face value. To me, as someone who just walks past, I might look at both of them and say, hey, you guys need some cleansing happening. How do you help the two parties, respectively?
The two parties would obviously need a sit down.
Yes.
Figure out what's going on. Yes, there are those people that do need cleansings on a spiritual and energy level.
Yes.
You know, have other elements, involved in their cleanse, which will again move away from self, because you have to go somewhere to come back to self sometimes.
Okay.
Yes, because sometimes yourself is not enough. Hence, you have to have someone else introduce something new to you to reach a certain level of growth or enlightenment. So the first person obviously would need a cleansing and help them understand what's going on with them. Because what we don't realize is we're also hoarders of energy. We keep a lot of energy. Either in our homes, we collect stuff, and everything tells a story. It comes from somewhere. To the people we engage with, sexually, romantically, friendship-wise, however the exchanges are, we hold more energies. And then there's your own, within your own spiritual context with your ancestors. That's there, that requires a certain level of you. So for you to flourish in those spaces, you have to start off by unpacking and losing the extra dead weight. And a cleansing then would help in that regard.
Okay.
And for someone who's just generally a sad person, it speaks to their disconnect with their inner spirit, which is on an ancestral level. Okay. Because sometimes you may find that there's a conflict between how you feel and how you're made to feel by your ancestors.
Okay.
Sometimes more to highly a gifted person, there's a lot of there's more coming in and less of what's going out.
Okay.
Because by Batlakoyan in the forms of dreams, visions, anything, sensations that you get to experience. Now you're the receptor. It's all coming to you.
Okay.
But you don't have any way of sending it then out again because you haven't taught the mediums of how to channel that energy. And sometimes a cleansing would help, sometimes not. Sometimes us teaching you basic behavioral activities or patterns can help, in getting you back in channel.
Yeah.
And that's also why it's so hard for you to bottle or singularly label a person in the work that I do, because I speak to many different levels of a person.
Yes.
So even in the assistance and the help that I'm going to provide, I have to be able to identify what is the actual issue here.
Yes.
Not everything is klare. Not everything is like a ritual.
Yes.
Some things just need time, dedication, understanding, and a human-to-human experience. And let's talk this out.
Yes.
Let's hash it out.
Yes.
Let you also get to finally put things into words and express them so that they can leave from your spirit.
Yes.
So once you're able to identify that about a person, it's easier for you to be able to know how to help them. I believe, yeah.
And like you said, the communication channels that come through when you consult someone, with someone, or someone consults with you, it's diverse.
Yes.
And the distinction that I get from the two is that you might even just be shown to speak to the person, and say, as much as you're communicating something to them, like, hey, you need to stop doing this. This is what is being brought forth. You need to stop doing this. And probably as you speak more to the person, you realize certain things, and effectively your consultation room turns into a spiritual / psychiatric psychologist type of setup. Well, this is definitely interesting, and I don't know, Gogo, would I be wrong in saying part of spiritual growth, part of our individual spiritual growth, is being able to not only express our gratitude, but to mean it, to stick to it, and to value what we are grateful for.
Correct. And don't forget, a giving hand is a receiving hand. For as long as you don't give it, you won't receive it. You may get out your house looking amazing, like you actually look and feel amazing, but you're struggling to pay a compliment to someone else. Yet you're so expectant the whole day. Your mood even drops, like, why is no one complimenting me? But where's your heart in all of this?
I'm laughing because I've heard so many people
say that.
Like how I'm born, like they're so expecting of a compliment. They're so wanting the compliment that if it does not come, it's you've done them in, that they literally have to tell you.
And the funny thing also to add on to that, Mike, is sometimes those kind of people, or in that kind of mindset, you end up overextending yourself because that part of you is not yet full. You're not gratified by the response that you found, that you've received in the world. So now, even when you come back from work, you find now another activity to go explore and go do, because you're not done being in that outfit. You haven't reached your quota, or reach that level of I am, like Kiritrapi, like a joke, and so it ends up eventually it ends up taking so much more from you, because that energy, that space, that void that you have is not getting filled by anything. So you have to overextend yourself and do more to reach that certain level of, it's okay, I'll take this.
There's a whole lot of self-centeredness. There's a whole lot of entitlement, as you said the word earlier on. Self-centeredness, entitlement, wanting to be seen. I guess part of self-centeredness. And a level of self-worth and pride, but I would say a filthy type of pride.
Yes, nasty.
Like, it's nasty. Because it's about feed my ego, feed my energy. Give me your energy and feed my
because I'm lacking. I'm so low in self-energy and self-esteem that there's no other way. This is the only way I can exist.
I need your energy in order for me to
and that's why there's also your hate Twitters and all those things, because it's such a blank platform. It says, here's so many characters you can fit into this message that you want to share. And here are thousands and millions of people from all over the world that you can engage with. And what you choose to press send on.
Wow.
Speaks to self.
Wow. The self-centered attitude, an attitude, is attitude a manifestation of energy, or energy manifested from attitude? Or are they intertwined?
I think they're both. It's a give and take.
Yeah. So when you have that attitude and want to be filled by others, it becomes more and more difficult for you to genuinely appreciate.
Yes.
I feel
Yeah.
it becomes far more difficult for you to genuinely appreciate reality and or anything else that comes with that.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest word to in summation is one's acknowledgement with their EQ. I mean, rather than EI, as you would write it, emotional intelligence. Because it's one's acknowledgement of self all the time. And once you can differentiate between, your smarts and your emotional smarts, then you'll realize that each moment requires a different you. There's a part of you that requires you to be butch and strong and aggressive, but there's also a part that says be humble, listen, be mindful, receive. So until we're able to be cognizant of that, we're going to miss a lot of opportunities to be thankful and respect and acknowledge and, give appreciation and regard. Yeah.
One thing I've noticed is that human beings, we're far more driven to being aggressive, and we're far more driven to do negative things than we are to do the good. If you look at a child, I have a son. My son, even when he was a year, 2 years younger than what he is now, he displayed tendencies of being aggressive, right? And when I think about boy children, they have this masculine energy,
Of course, yes.
most of them, and they begin to pick up on things of fighting, right? Even when they're small, and you have no idea who taught this child this, my son picked up boxing gloves and he was emulating, right? I don't recall him ever seeing like a boxing match or whatever, whether he learned it from other kids or whatever the case might be. And I realize that it's not only him, it's all of us. We have a tendency of picking up on negative things, aggression being one of them. And where you have aggression and you have a drive towards doing anything that is other than being humble, cool, level-headed, trying to foster peace or anything like that, then you are going to have a society or a person that is inclined towards the negative again, but inclined to not having any reverence. That's the word I was looking for. Inclined to not having any reverence for anything. So at the end of the day, you will not have gratitude if you are being negative and driven towards self and driven towards all this. Victor Timunye asked the question: apart from cleansing, what else can a person do to help them grow spiritually? I think we touched on it, but then for the sake of Victor.
Thanks, Vic. You can easily get books, read up on the subject, because once you read up, you get someone else's perspective and approach to something. You can try find like-minded people who have the same or similar challenge in terms of trying to connect. But it all requires an action from you, and that's always you stepping out of your comfort zone and meeting these moments for you to meet these people. So if you put your back into it, I don't think there's anything that's unattainable for as long as you wish it and you desire it. So that would be my response towards that.
And naturally, speaking to people, we undermine speaking. Men, we undermine speaking. We speak to guys and we speak the guy language.
Yeah.
And that is bad sometimes. Because we speak as men and we apply masculinity to the whole conversation. And then we're like, this person, they're crazy. And we it's not many of us who would say, no, you know what, this is what I did.
Yeah.
This is what I learned. No, I have a brother, XYZ. Make it emotional.
Yes.
Right? Like, if you suffer from a spiritual ailment of some type, it's part of it. It becomes emotional to some extent.
Of course.
Right. And divorcing yourself from your emotions also adds to the fuel.
That's correct.
So speaking to people who can relate, they've gone through it, they'll give you answers and they'll give you guidance for the most part.
Yeah. You should never not allow yourself to be vulnerable.
Yes.
But that's where connections are made from, for the fact that I see myself in you. So if you're not going to allow yourself to be vulnerable, you're going to pass up on an opportunity to make a very new good friend or someone you can journey with for that particular conversation.
Yes.
Yeah.
So speaking, is an exchange of information.
Yeah, it's important.
People think that being a man, it means toughening up. Don't talk about certain things.
I think that's so weird, because as a woman, I'm just trying to find a man who's vulnerable enough to share about their emotions, about their daily struggles, and not on a general tip. Can I learn about you and what you find challenging about this particular situation? The problem, the situation can't be the problem. It's your receival to the challenge that becomes a problem. So if men are going to adopt that, it makes it a bit of a struggle for me to even find someone that I can befriend on a romantic level, because it's almost like you're putting on a facade to be this very strong person, and here I am, as vulnerable as I am, and sometimes even overly so. It's almost like I want to compensate for the fact that you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, hence I will have to almost dig it out of you. And that's work in itself. For a person that's coming new into a relationship, I shouldn't have to really dig out old issues that you are not even trying to deal with. That's tough.
The thing is, we've created a lot of imbalances.
Yeah.
We've created a lot of imbalances. We've created a lot of phobias along with all of that. Men who expect men to behave a certain way, who expect women to behave a certain way. Women who have bought into the ideas of men needing to behave a certain way.
Yep.
And to some extent, if you do not behave in that manner, you are then called something else. So there's in existence, there's a confusion between us to an extent that here's a reality. If a man behaves a certain way, becomes vulnerable, or speaks about his emotions, or speaks about his emotions in a certain context, let's just say, for argument's sake, in a manly manner. I don't know what that manner is, right? Because we just use those types of terms, which try to imply that one is not overly sensitive and crying and rolling on the floor type of situation. But certain females would then say, being programmed themselves, would then dismiss that, and say, he's not a man, or I don't need a man who whatever who speaks a certain way, acts a certain way, or in certain situations. So there's a whole confusion, and we need to restore balance to us as human beings. But I guess this is why we need these Spirit Thursdays. We need these conversations about gratitude. We need these conversations about how do we move forward, how do we heal ourselves. Victor is expressing his gratitude. Thank you, Gogo. I don't know how to pronounce this. He's saying there.
Okay.
Hashtag
Kamako.
Kamago.
Yes, it's
Okay.
a Nguni term.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. Victor, thank you very much for your question. And Gogo, I think we've touched on it. I think you brought forward a very important subject, which we're probably going to visit again
I think so.
in the future.
Yeah.
And on that note, Gogo, how do people get a hold of you?
Oh, okay. You can find me on all social media platforms under the name of Gogo Moyo Speaks. And yes, I'm very active there, so touch me up and I will definitely speak back to you. Also, if you want to make it to my studio, my practice, my contact details are 079-864-2894. That's 079-864-2894. Please do not call the number. I am in sessions for most of the day. It's used as an SMS line and there's someone manning it, so trust your questions will be answered.
And if someone is outside of South Africa, they can, of course, like you said, the social media pages.
Yes, and I will direct them to the Skype, which is lesedisangoma on Skype.
Lesedisangoma on Skype.
Correct.
On that note, we'd like to thank our sponsor, Flat Stomach Tea. Would like to thank them for their support. You can visit them at fatflush.co.za. Join our Facebook page, Brownie Love Radio. Join our Facebook group, Brownie Love. And we'll be happy to welcome you into our community from wherever you are around the world. We look forward to hearing from you. We look forward to your comments on this broadcast. And any questions that you have for Gogo Moyo, please follow the details that she has given you. Otherwise, you can get a hold of us on the Brownie Love page, drop us an inbox, and participate in the Brownie Love group page. Thank you very much for your attendance. It's been an interesting conversation. We look forward to the next Thursday with Gogo Moyo, giving us a whole lot of insights into the spirit world and how to achieve spiritual wellness. There's a lot more to come, I feel, and I look forward to it. I hope likewise you do too. On that note,
Thank you, everyone. Thokozani.
Thokoza Gogo.